Hello, my name is Rachel, and today is Friday. Welcome to Knit Night. Today, I wanted just to talk with you about some of my current projects, as well as some of my recent acquisitions and some future plans. This summer, I did not knit a traditional summer garment, and so I am still working on what I want to knit on for the fall. I've shared in my previous vlogs that I wanted to knit a shift again cardigan, which is all stored away and ready to go in this particular project bag, but I have not made any progress whatsoever other than the initial cast on, which you can see I did not get very far, but my nails match it quite nicely. In this particular cardigan, it looks like it's more of a fitted cardigan with very little positive ease. It's a shift again by Andrea Mari, and it calls for a variety of different spin cycle yarn that blends in together. And I found so many different colors that I'm not going to even waste your time in showing you them all, but here's some variations of the spin cycle yarn that I have ordered. I actually went to my local yarn store, and after some self-reflection and debate, I finally selected a couple of skeins I think I'm going to use to make it. Whether or not it's going to be completed by the time Rhinebeck starts, who knows? That was one of the whole purpose. So this whole like knitting summer transition for me, because there were other podcasters who were talking about the end of the summer knit plans, and I'm like, I haven't even cast on a traditional knit garment. I was going to knit up the camisole, the home camisole by Kadri, but I just lost interest in it. Started it one night and I got the right front triangle done, but it's just not really something I'm interested in, and I'm most likely will frog it and do something else with the yarn. It's a really well-written pattern. I just don't have an excitement about knitting it. I don't know if it's the yarn, which it probably isn't because the yarn is really gorgeous. It's a cider bamboo yarn. I initially purchased it to make baby socks. So who knows what I'll end up doing with that. So in addition to the shift again and probably canceling the home camisole, I did finish my home cardigan that I was knitting for one of my closest friends. Hopefully I can insert a picture so you can see it right now. It's currently being wet blocked. To be honest with you, this cardigan is not one of my best pieces of work. I knitted the body too short. I'm about 2.5 inches, closer to 3 inches short on the body, in my opinion. The hem came out really nice, but the pickup stitches that I did for the bottom part were a little loose because it's a little hard initially when you're picking up stitches for the collar. And so I would have to frog the whole thing and to try again. And I actually tried knitting the collar separate, and then I was going to add it. I'm like talking with my hands a lot, so you're getting a nice preview of my nails. I tried knitting the collar separate, and then I was going to do like a mattress stitch to attach it to it, and I just ended up not doing that. Then I was going to do a zipper. I purchased a zipper. I even purchased a hand sewing machine, like a handheld sewing machine, to knit the whole to attach it, but that didn't happen. I realized that the yarn that I was using just was not the appropriate material. So I just went ahead and decided just to follow the pattern for the most part, and so that way I can be consistent with the hem length and the collar, the sleeve cuff. I went ahead and did 12 rows for the collar instead of what the pattern was asking for. The pattern was asking for more rows. It's a really easy cardigan. It's well written. I just realized that for myself, I don't like drop shoulder. I don't like that seam that appears in most drop shoulder cardigans or pullovers. And so that was one of the reasons why I lost significant interest in it almost immediately. And I was initially intimidated about doing the collar because I thought that picking up the stitches was going to be too challenging and take too long, but actually it worked out really quickly. I started picking up the sleeves, the cardigan collar about, what was it? Today's Friday, so Wednesday night. And when I say Wednesday night, I mean like around like 9. I picked up the stitches and I was able to get 2 rows done by 10 o'clock. And then last night I ended up finishing the collar in itself, including the buttonholes. And so pattern's well written. The yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It's something I definitely will knit again with, but I just don't like the finished product. which is a little disappointing. I put it on and it fits my body, so I know it's going to fit hers because we have, although our height proportion is different, but our width proportion is the same, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping it would fit her. And if it doesn't, I'm going to invite her just to either donate it or to give it to a member of my family or her family that might be in that size. So that was I was feeling a little disappointed with that. I am still working on my summer traffic jam socks. This is actually something I started working on a little bit today while I was at work, while I was waiting for students to transition from my class to the next. And it worked. It's, oh gosh, I forgot how much I like this pattern. So this pattern is called the Summer Camp Socks. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. And the reason why I selected it is that it was, I gravitated to it because one, it allows you to know exactly when you do the color change. And because I'm still fairly new to sock knitting, I wasn't 100% certain about how to do color changes in a way that really enhances the pattern and like showcases the yarn. And the yarn I found randomly while I was waiting to check out at my local yarn store. And when I say local, it's about like 45 minutes from my house. It's a yarn store called Another Yarn located in Burlington, Massachusetts. I was going there to go pick up yarn, most likely knowing me for my throwback cardigan that I seem to never want to knit. But yeah, I don't remember why I was in the store and what yarn I was purchasing. It's definitely not for a pattern I have done. Maybe it was for an Emmett's cardigan, who knows. I was there waiting for her to get to check me out. She was either helping another customer or looking about to see if they can find more skeins. And I saw this yarn. Now this yarn is called, oh gosh, it's Lang. There it is, Lang Alpaca Socks, SOXX. And it's one of the softest halos of yarn I have touched in such a long time that has majority of alpaca in it. I really wish you can feel this. The color is beautiful. It's just a really beautiful pattern, excuse me, yarn, and it's definitely one that I would love to knit a sweater with. I like this yarn so much that I was thinking about buying a sweater quantity of it to make my frajola. But then I got introduced to Quinta Company, and that particular plan went right out the door. So anyway, with the Summer Traffic Jam socks, I initially was going to knit this 2 at a time, and I found I should say that knitting 2 at a time with the toe up sock much easier for me. I actually completed the socks I was talking about before. I'll insert a picture of it so you can see the completed version of it. I knitted the One Weekend Socks by Hoagie Locatelli 2 at a time using the Turkish cast on method that I watched on YouTube, and it went rapidly fast. My hands did hurt a little bit, and I think mostly because I didn't give myself breaks as I was working on it. But I thoroughly enjoyed doing that particular pattern. Once again, it was really well written. It does work up to be 1 weekend. I started it late Friday evening, and I worked on it for about 2 or 3 hours on Saturday because I was meeting a friend for dinner. And then I worked on it for about 5 hours on Sunday, and I finished it on Monday. And I finished it fairly early on Monday because I was able to wet block it Monday afternoon. And so I absolutely love the outcome of that. And I'm so excited to cast on another pattern from the Ready for Fall 2 collection. So at this point, I have knitted the Tremizo hat. Again, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And I've knitted the One Weekend Socks. And the next pattern that I'm most likely going to cast on will be the Cloud Peak cardigan. But first, let me finish telling you about the Summer Traffic Jam socks. So with these particular socks, I'm using my stitch marker that's from Black Pearl Magic. I love the little accessories and what does she call it? Oh gosh, I can't think of the word. Oh my goodness, it's like leaving my mind. But anyway, merch. They make such good stuff, and I'm so glad I discovered that particular store online. I didn't discover it online. I was watching Knitting Natty, her podcast, and she was mentioning her Black Pearl clear plastic item. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want one. And I went onto the website and they were all sold out already. And I kept going on the website, and every time I would go, like everything was consistently selling out. And then finally one day, one of the little knitting Notion bags was on sale, and I purchased it. And in that Notion bag came with all these little goodies. And so really am glad. And then I signed up for the newsletter after I got my Notions bag, and I was able to buy one of their sweatshirts. So highly recommend this store. Actually, I think I'm going to take this off because I'm going to use this for another socks I'm going to show you in a second. So these are my summer traffic jam socks, coming along really well. Simple pattern. It's a knit 3, purl 1, and you add in the color changes. For the first sock, I was able to finish the cuff. The leg is done. The heel flap and gusset is done. And I did all my decreases. So now I'm about to do the toe. And I decided to stop here with the sock and go ahead and cast on the second one. And I was watching another one of my podcasts. I think this time I was watching Needles at the Ready, and Ray was talking about using his 9-inch circular needles. And he wasn't the first person I heard mention this before, but I've heard pretty good things about using these. So, and I know that sometimes when you knit with Magic Loop, there can be the little laddering that happens, which can be quite annoying, especially if you don't know how to break it down and knit it back up or crochet it back up. And sometimes it works really well for me. Sometimes you can still see the ladder even if I'm able to do that. And so I purchased these with hopes that it will increase my speed. And I feel very awkward when I'm using these, and which is the reason why I don't think I'm as far as I should be. Because when I do my Magic Loop, I'm much faster, maybe because I'm more accustomed to using this now than I am the 9-inch circular. But my hands feel a little cramped. I don't know, it's because of the way I'm holding the needle. I don't know if because I haven't really quite figured out how I want to tension my yarn when I'm doing this. So I haven't made as much progress with this, and it's gotten to the point where I'm thinking about maybe switching to another, what is the word I'm looking for? Another set of needles, because I have another 2.25 needles that I can use for this. And I did recently buy the Addi Flexi, and I'm not that impressed by it. It really didn't do anything for me, and I could have been just doing them all wrong, so that's also a very strong possibility. But for now, I'm just going to keep these on the 9-inch circulars, because this is just my project for work during those days when I have meetings, or those days when I have a lot on my mind and I need a moment to process, or while I'm waiting for the copy machine, I'll whip out my knitting. And today was a really good day to do that, just to have my yarn in my pocket and to knit as I was processing all the things I need to get done before the start of the next school week. So really glad to have this really simple but really well written pattern. I really enjoyed it so far. Any mistakes that have been made have been entirely my own, mostly because I am still new to knitting. I am proud of myself that I did a much better job with the heel flap than I did with my No Fear Shorty socks. With my No Fear Shorty socks, I had messed up a little bit with the heel flap, and this time I was really intentional about not only with the heel flap but also with the heel turn, and I'm quite happy with what the outcome is, and I'm hope to replicate that with this one. So this project is ongoing. This is actually going to go right back in my work bag. Why I took it out, I don't know, but it's not like I'm going to finish it this weekend, because I don't want to finish it right away. It's really one of those projects that I want one of those mindless knits for my work meetings. And the socks that I have on my queue this is the last pair of mindless knits. The next socks that I'm super excited about, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a video, is I recently purchased, and when I say recently, I think it was about it was during the summertime, sometime in July, and it was one of those random days I was on my phone playing around, and I got some like a promotion email telling me about Suella's yarn, and I completely forgot that I signed up for their newsletter. and they were selling Taylor Swift inspired yarn. And one of my students, and I know I talk about this all the time about yarns I'm knitting for, items I'm knitting for my students, but one of my students is a big fan of Taylor Swift. She loves Taylor Swift. She went to Taylor Swift's concert and had an absolute wonderful time. Like, she is a genuine fan of this artist. And so I went online and I took a screenshot of the different yarns, and I could not remember what was her favorite song by Taylor Swift. And so I ended up sending her the link to the yarn, and she picked out the yarn colorway called Lover. And so here it is. And I have to say, I've used this yarn from Sewella before in the past. I made a beautiful crochet garment that if I did a gauge swatch, I would wear more often, but I did not. So I'm going to frog it, and I'm going to hopefully convert it into something, because it's a beautiful skein of yarn. But anyway, with this yarn in itself, it was such a beautiful surprise. It's a beautiful colorway. I absolutely love the transition in here. I'm gonna, hopefully that's focusing there. Do you see the stripes? I had no idea that this was going to happen when I was looking at it through the hank, and it's stunning and it's consistent. And that's what's really great. You know what you're going to get, and it's a consistent flow. So here's the first cuff I have finished. I'm doing the Flying Birds socks. This is my second small item cast on for the Hoki Lucky Tellies fall make along, and I ended up signing up for 5 or 6 items, well, 4 if I'm being honest, were by accident. I signed up for the Instant Crush twice, I signed up for the One Weekend socks twice, and I signed up for the Cloud Peaks socks twice. Excuse me, Cloud Peak cardigan twice. So because I made those errors, the only items I'm planning on knitting for the Hoki Lucky Telly Ready for Fall knit along is the One Weekend socks, one Tremizo hat. I'm going to do another one, and I'll show you the yarn I'm going to use in a moment. The Flying Bird socks, because I've been wanting to do this pattern for a minute. I love shorty socks, so I'm really excited about that, and I'd love to wear them, and I'm really happy that I'm learning how to knit them. I'm also planning on doing the scoop. I've been looking at this pattern all summer long. I have the yarn set aside. I have read through the pattern. I want to cast it on, but I just haven't had the time to do so. And I wanted to get some things off my needles before I done so. And then I also want to do the Instant Crush. I want to do it with a make along, because it's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. I never worked with 2 strands of mohair for a whole sweater garment. And reading the pattern, it seems pretty easy, but reading pattern, actually doing it, it's completely different. I'm going to be using Knit Companion to assist me with this. This will be the first time. And I'm also considering still printing out the pattern. I purchased the pattern in its, the yarn in the same colorway that she did the sample that she's photographed in. So with all that said, I don't have time or the need to buy any more yarn or whatnot, but when my yarn from the Sewella came, I didn't know it was coming this week, and so this was such a pleasant surprise. And when I saw this, I knew that this would be the perfect yarn to do my Flying Birds because of the beautiful colorway. When I saw the pattern and I saw the yarn, I'm like, this will go perfect, because I think that not only will this accentuate or celebrate the pattern because it's not too dark, but it will also just be an opportunity to really celebrate the color. So I'm really happy with my choice. My goal is to, so as you can see, I'm going to be knitting this 2 at a time. And after watching Crazy Sock Ladies podcast, I believe her name is Kay, she did a tutorial on how to knit 2 socks at a time, and the way that she does it, she is successful at casting on both cuffs and knitting up one cuff and then putting them on DPNs, and then knitting up the second cuff, and then taking the ones that was in on the second cuff and putting it onto the DPNs. The issue that I'm running into right now is that I did not put them on DPNs. As you can see, I've had them on 2 circular needles. So what I most likely will do is just figure out how to do it in pattern. And I think I can do it, because I know when I first did the knitting at the same time, I was able to. So Worst case scenario, I can always just transition him to that, but I'm happy that I at least have the cuff done. Looking at that pattern, I definitely feel I can finish it this whole weekend based on the fact that it doesn't have a leg. You go straight from the cuff to the heel flap, and then from the heel flap you go, and while you're doing the heel flap, you're also doing the beautiful lace pattern that's on the front. It's a really nice pattern, so I highly recommend it. And I'm going to use this little progress keeper. Let's see if it's showing up. Oh, I just realized my camera. Oh, there he goes. I'm going to use this as my progress keeper, which goes so well with the yarn. I mean, how adorbs, right? So I'm really excited about that. Heck, I can actually use it as a stitch marker. Maybe I might do that too. But I need to put this all in a project bag together. I haven't created a project bag for it yet. So that's next on my list. In addition to my Shift Again, that's just sitting and staring at me, waiting for its moment, and as well as working on, what is the other pattern I'm working on? I'm also in finishing my home cardigan. Next week, and specifically Monday, I am going to, oh, I'm leaning over grabbing it. Oh, I'm going to show you my acquisitions in a minute. I'm going to pick up where I left off with Emma's cardigan. If you have listened to my other videos that hopefully posted, I'm not very good at this, so bear with me. I have a love-hate relationship with this cardigan. This is called the Great Love Cardigan, and it's a really beautiful textured pattern. Personally speaking, I prefer the wrong side over the right side, and what is great, the way that you work it up, you can actually wear it either or, and it won't take away from the pattern. I think it might impact the pockets. But anyway, really love the pattern. Here's one of my stitch markers that I got from Black Pearl. I lost the other one. I hope it's at my desk. I have like a little yarn bowl where I keep all my little notions inside. So I'm hoping that the other one was there because it fell off my needles. Because for some reason I had it on 2.25 needles, which was not my best idea. But for the most part, this is, I've connected at the arms. I went ahead and did only one round, and that was the connection round. I haven't done anything else. It just took so long to get through the front and to get it to have the right length. And what another frustration that I had with myself with this pattern was that it was so easy to make a mistake, and then I had to go back and almost have to frog the whole row or a section in order to correct the mistake, because you're knitting the body and the collar at the same time, which is not a complaint after everything I've gone through with Lou's cardigan. And then finally, if you are not, I don't think, I've measured my gauge multiple times and I'm consistently getting gauge, but what's frustrating me is that the pattern is telling me that this is the right length. It's telling me to do, like, let's say for hypothetically, it says to do 11 inches. And when I measured it, I have 11 inches, yet it just doesn't seem right, the right length. And I know that this is not a good indicator, and the person I'm making this for is shorter than I am, has a different chest width, and so it will most likely fit him. And I had him try it on the first time before I frogged the whole thing, and it fit him, and so I'm using the same size, but I don't know, I'm just not really feeling it. So I put this into timeout, and I'm going to pick this back up on Monday when I get out of work. I have a staff meeting on Monday, and my kids have school, and their homework should be done. And usually I make spaghetti, so it is the perfect night to get back into Emmett's garment, because I would need some comfort. And the comfort food from eating and hanging out with the kids, I think will hopefully put me in enough of a good spirit to pick up the needles with that. And the other thing is that I might actually have time on Sunday. I plan on doing some work from home for that as I'm waiting. So as I just mentioned, I'm doing the Hokey Locatelli's Ready for Fall knit along. This is my first time doing it. I'm absolutely enjoying it so far. I'm not as active on the forum as others. I actually ordered the t-shirt that she had posted in the little garment bag here. I'm going to show you. what the bag looks like. It's a cute little project bag. I really like it. It's only 16 bucks. And it's actually a pretty good size. I think that not only am I using it for my Instant Crush, which is here, I'm also going to use it most likely for future knitting items, and it has this little handle on the side, so I like it. And I really like the t-shirt. The next time I film a video of myself, I hope to be wearing it, and I want to wear the t-shirt while casting on my Instant Crush, and my hope is to record my experience with that. Hope to take all these different clips and put that together. Again, I'm very new to this whole thing, but I'm excited. I've been enjoying it and I've been having a really good time trying these new techniques and trying new ways and trying new yarns as well. I recently got picked to do a test knit for a knitwear designer, which I'm super excited about. I don't know if I'm allowed to share details about that yet because everything is just waiting on like the pattern and details for that. But if I am allowed, I'll share it. If not, then you'll find out later on. But so in addition to doing a knit along, making a gift for one of my dear friends and making a gift for one of my sweetest students, I am also doing the Stephen West knit along. And so I have been on the fence for, and when I say years, I mean literally just 2, because I've only been knitting for 2 years. And with the Stephen West knit along, I'm sorry, I just can't sit here and not do something with my hands. With the Stephen West knit along, for some reason I was like, you know what, this is the year I'm going to do it, because I know I'm not going to do the shawl that's in the Ready for Fall 2 pattern. And so, and again, that one is also clearly written, but my husband went, I was like, what does that sound? Just something, I'm just not really a big fan of shawls. I never make them for myself. The few instances I've made shawls, I've made 2 knitted shawls. I made one, I made one wrap. It was a free pattern on Purl Soho, and I've made 2 scarves. One was a Kim Hargraves, and one was me practicing a Japanese knit pattern, and I ended up making a scarf with it. So that's the most knitwear items I've made that you can wear around your neck. And I've seen the other Stephen West shawls that have come out, and they're really wow. Like it's pretty clear that you're going to learn new techniques. You're going to have an opportunity to interact with some amazing yarns. And so it just seems like it has such great potential as a knitter. But watching the experiences of other knitters, specifically on podcasts, I didn't feel like I had the skills in order to actively participate in that type of knit along. And then I got bold. I saw a preview for the Stephen West knit along. Like I think he did like a video, and I watched it and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it a try, because he said something about doing a garter stitch, and I love the garter stitch. The more I've done it, the more I really like the squishiness of it. And it's one of those stitches that we don't, and when I say we, I mean I should say, I shouldn't speak for all knitters, but I don't do as often as I was like. And it's a really nice collection of yarn, of fabric, excuse me. So when he said that and he was showing the different colorways, I was like, you know what, it's a $7 pattern, what's the harm? I can go stash diving and do this. So I bought the pattern, and you get a frequently asked page, and you get overviews about which yarn to buy, whatnot. And I saw this wall colorway that was in this royal blue, sky blue, and these 2 colors in between that were in the blue family. And immediately I was about to buy it, and I was like, wait a second, I have it in my stash. So I only had the royal blue, and the sky blue was, I didn't have enough of it. So I go on Stephen and Penelope's website. I order 2 skeins of yarn, actually 3 skeins of yarn that's in this blue colorway that I thought might go well. And as I'm waiting for the yarn to come, I'm overthinking to the point it's like midnight thinking. And which is one of the reasons why I'm so fatigued, because I've been obsessing about this, same as I did with the Tessellate, same as I did with the Shift Again. But anywho, obsessing. And then finally I was just like, I need to just make a decision. And I can't make a decision till the yarn comes, because the royal blue yarn that I had in my stash, I had planned to make another ranunculus with it. I wanted to make a royal blue version of it. Every year I want to make that sweater until I get better at it. So anyway, I that was part of my hesitation with it. So when the yarn came, I realized it was too similar. Like the two of the skeins that I had purchased in hopes to have them contrasting each other, they looked almost identical. And the only thing that was different was just like this little tan colorway. I'm not gonna even get up and show you the skeins of yarn. It was not my best yarn purchase. So I went perusing through my stash and trying to think about what colors I wanted. And I kept coming back to this hat that I made. This is an Oslo hat I made. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say it was like mid last year, and this is one of my favorite hats. And the reason why I like this hat so much is there's several. One, I love the colors. The color is just super stunning. I love the mohair that's in it. And this was one of my best Oslo hats that came out. Like I was able to follow the pattern exactly. The crown came out the way that it was supposed to. This was me at my peak here. I'll put it on. Because remember with the Oslo hat, you can fold it over and do a double brim. I like a little slouch in my hat. So it's so nice. I love it. Oh, and it feels so good on my ears. So I love this hat and I wear it all the time, but I didn't have a scarf that went well with it. And if I was going to make a shawl, I wanted to make one that I can wear as my, true scarf to go with my hat. And I have some yarn in my stash that, oh my goodness, I've been trying to for months since I've gotten this yarn, what I'm going to do with it. Because initially I was supposed to crochet something with it. Didn't like what was coming out with crochet because this was initially what I was crocheting with it. It was supposed to be a triangle shawl, and I got all the way up to, I got all the way up to row 15 and just could not figure out what to do after that. Like after I finished the diamond, I was like, do I do this? And the pattern just wasn't as clear, and I was afraid I was going to make a mistake, and I just lost interest in it. I had interest in it when I started doing it, and it actually came out pretty nice. But when you lose interest in a product, you just lose interest in it. So this yarn I purchased from Expression Fibers. This is in a hue. This is their mulberry silk. I think it has a small percentage of alpaca in it, but it's primary mulberry silk. So I'll hold it this way so you can see even better. And the reason why I want to make a scarf or shawl with this is that it's one of the softest yarns I have in my possession. Like there are yarns that I have that are very soft, but I don't like the way it feels around my neck. So I'm very particular about what goes around my neck. My head can take anything, my shoulders, but this area here, this right in between my ears, and is very sensitive. I'm fine as I get closer to my collarbone. So I wanted to use a yarn. That's a better word. I wanted to use yarn that I knew wouldn't be an irritant. And so my other skein of Sewello yarn came. That came yesterday. And when I saw this, I was like, this is it. This is my gradient shawl. And I was so happy when I saw it. Like even just looking at it right now, it just brings me so much joy. And you would not believe how stressed out I was making myself about this. And the lighting in here is not doing justice. Like there's little specks of color in all four yarns, and it kind of brings it together. But also there's enough variation that you can see how it is separate. And what I love about this is that there's a similar texture to the yarn for all three. The soft quality is there. And so I'm really excited to do my first knit along with Stephen West. And I'm curious about what it's going to be. I've heard so many fun and entertaining things. And how I knew that the colorway that I just showed you was the right one. Again, this light may not be doing it justice, but this color almost matches identically to my hat as well as to the colors I was hoping. And so when I saw this bag and the Sewello yarn and with my hat, I'm like, you know what? This is like serendipity. This is supposed to be. This is a very large tote that you get if you decide to do the West Knits. And he sells the tote. Stephen Penelope sell the tote separate. So let's say you have the yarn in your stash and you don't want to buy one of the colorways that they put together. They do have the kits. And I believe it was either 20 or 34, I can't remember which number, but it wasn't too expensive. And you get a sweater, I want to say this is more of a blanket size, because I could definitely fit a blanket in here, and I probably will use it in the future for blankets. But you could definitely get about a blanket size yarn in there, or garment or pattern. Sorry, the words are leaving me. And I love it. Glad I got it, and will continue to use it and see what comes from there. The final item I wanted to talk to you about is another acquisition. So I am still working on my tessellate. I have made very little progress with this. See, I have another stitch marker with that. I've made very little progress with this particular item, and it has nothing to do with the pattern. It's just I haven't really had time, and I really wanted to finish Lou's cardigan. So my tessellate is the hem. I'm about 6 rows away from being finished with the hem for the vest, and then I'll go ahead and start working up the rest of the body. What is unfortunate is that I may get distracted again, because as much as I love this yarn, this is a Suri alpaca I had talked about in previous videos. This is by La Abienne. You know I can't do my French, y'all know. But anyway, I love this yarn, and I need to remember so I don't get distracted. I wanted the Queen's Purple Fua Fua, and I got a text from Spin Cycle because I signed up for it, and it notified me that the Fua Fua was available. So I immediately purchased one skein of it, because that's what all I had in mind to purchase. And the Fua Fua is very expensive. It's about almost 42. Not almost. It is $42 a skein. And what I like about the Fua Fua, because I've used it in the past, it makes the garment work up really nice. Let me see if I have. Yeah, and this was made with Fua Fua. This color is so rich, so warm, but also light at the same time. I am absolutely in love with the Fua Fua, and so this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have it again. And so with that Queen's Purple, I don't exactly know what I'm going to do with it. With the yardage, there's plenty of potential, but I didn't want to buy another skein. And as I'm looking over towards my stash, there are other yarns I can use it for. I don't want to use it for something as small as a pair of socks. So what I am thinking, now that I've had some time, I was going to, with my leftover Fua Fua, make up with the press cowl, by Christoph. First, I'm gonna have to put. I'm not gonna say the powder name right, so I'm gonna stop. But I believe it's called the press flower cowl, or this particular cowl requires you to use some embroidery, and it's in my queue. I think actually I purchased the powder, and I was going to use my leftover Fua Fua hot pink. I think I have enough yardage in that, and I was going to use my BFL yarn that I got from the local yarn store day, and if my Purple Queen arrives in time, maybe I'll just use that for that. I am going to use it, and I'm going to most likely use it in a garment. My camera's going in and out of focus. So, oh, here's my Notion bag that I got for Black Pearl. So, that was my recent acquisition. I actually bought a lot of yarn today, completely by accident. So, in addition to getting an alert about the Fua Fua, I got an alert about the Moonglow. I've been wanting to try Moonglow for a minute, ever since I saw, what is her name? Oh my God, why am I forgetting her name? This is why you shouldn't record videos so late. And it's not that late, it's only 9 o'clock. But I was watching Knitting Natty, and she was using Moonglow. I want to say it was for one of her pullover sweaters. And I just really love the fabric, the drape that she got from it. And before I buy a sweater quantity of yarn, I try to buy a small version of it that I can either use for a hat or now a pair of socks. And so I bought her pumpkin patch sock set, and I bought another sock set that I could use either for a hat or for some striped socks. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the second one, because I didn't purchase the pattern. And I think with the sock sets that come that I purchased today, I think actually comes with a pattern. So we'll see when it arrives. That didn't go down well, but Didn't mean to buy that yarn, but I'm glad I did, and I'm excited that it's coming. It should be here within the next couple of weeks, and what I end up doing with it, we'll see. But definitely with the Fua Fua, it will either become a hat or a scarf. It will definitely be an intricate part of a pattern. Which pattern, I don't know, but it has to be something big because I feel so much guilt about spending such a significant amount of money on one skein of yarn. Not to say like spending 36 isn't that bad, but I always get buyer's remorse for like the first day. Then I'm over it, especially once the yarn comes, because I felt that way about my Sewello yarn, but seeing it, I'm like, I'm good. Another yarn that I just got in the mail, that I purchased for my Cloud Peak cardigan, because I mentioned before I was planning on using my leftover Blue Skies fiber yarn, and it's beautiful. It's in the Wild Thyme color. Really love the color. It had every intention on making. I can even see myself wearing it, and the textured pattern, excuse me, it's cables, and so I could really see the cables in it. I was just like, oh, I can envision it. I was so excited. I had my mohair ready because the yarn that I had selected doesn't have any mohair. It's just 100% wool, and I was going to pair it with mohair. And if I needed more, I was going to buy it. Like, I had a whole plan ready to cast it on. It was sitting in this project bag that used to be a work bag for me, and then I was looking at, what was I looking at? I was looking at the sample that she knitted. And I was like, gosh, I really love that drape. And it's like, that mohair is really crushing it. And I was like, what is the substitute? So this is the conversation I'm having with myself. I was like, what is the substitute for this? So I go on yarnsub.com. For those of you who haven't done it, I highly recommend Yarnsub. Not only do you have an opportunity to manipulate the website to change, whether or not you see a yarn that's in the same price point as the original yarn that you're trying to substitute, but you can also manipulate it to be certain fibers and whatnot. It's a really great website, and it's been a really a great resource for me, and I'm really am glad, because I went on there to see if I could find a substitute for the yarn that she uses in the pattern. So Hoki Locatelli, for the Cloud Peak pattern, uses Woolfolk. I want to say she uses either Tove, T-O-V, or Far, whichever one that she uses. It's $21 per skein, and it's only 120 yards. Let's pull. I have one here. So this is Tove. Now this is one of her. This isn't the exact yarn that she used, but it's similar. Here it is. I actually have the yarn. I only have 2 skeins of this. I'm going to make a hat with it. But this is Far, and this was $21. And if this $21 yarn was, I think this one's only 115 meters. Oh, excuse me, it's 130 meters, which is 142 yards. Now, the sweater quantity of this, when I did the math for my size, it was closer to $300 if I were to buy this yarn. Regardless if I were to buy it in the Far or the Tove, it didn't matter. So here it is. Beautiful yarn. I absolutely love it. And if I could afford to, not necessarily afford, but if I could get over the initial price point, I think if I were able to buy this in a sweater quantity and pay for it in installments, it would be less sticker shock than to buy it all at once. Because when you buy it all at once, you're like, oh gosh, I really just spent $300. But when I do the, like, oh, I'm just going to do the installment plan that no interest, I don't feel as guilty about that initial purchase. But this yarn, I believe I got this from Wool & Company. It has a similar fiber content as the yarn that she used for in the pattern. This one is made with Marsham. There it is. Marsham wool, merino, and mohair. And what I love about this particular yarn, because I've used it once for a hat, it comes with 236 yards for every 100 gram skeins. And the yarn I purchased, mine was only, because I got it on sale. So was it on sale? I know my total price was only $100 because I got free shipping. So for $100, I got a sweater quantity of this yarn that is super soft, and oh gosh, it's going to give me a little bit of that rusted because it's not as soft as this one. I will not even pretend that it's as soft as this one. But what I love so much about it is the color. I've been wanting to make a cardigan in this dove gray color since I've started knitting, and I have been so unsuccessful in finding the right color gray that's in my price point that has the right fiber content. I came close to it. I'm not going to even bring it up. I came close to it with the Lion Brand. What is it called? I'm looking at the Wool Ease, and it's in a similar colorway, but that yarn just makes my skin so itchy. And I tried holding it with mohair. I tried using fabric softener, but for some reason it's super itchy. And so I know I can do a boat neck pullover with that yarn or something of that nature, but I cannot do anything that rests primarily on my neck. And with the way that this collar is going to be done, it will be touching my neck a little bit. And so that's why I was like, oh, I need to find something with mohair. And then when I saw that this already had mohair built into it, it's worsted weight, it's in my price point, has over 236 yards. So it didn't require me to buy a whole bunch of yarn for it because I only have 5 balls in here. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. So, excuse me, I'm not going to use the Blue Sky fibers. It will be used for something. I have plenty of worsted weight or DK weight patterns that this yarn can be used for. I just need to find the right one. And when I do, it will be used. My hope that today is the last day I would be buying yarn until I go to these fiber festivals next month. Um, I don't have room in this space, number one, and I also just don't have time to knit it all up. I'm looking at my fingering weight stash because I've also picked up 2 new hanks of yarn from Needles at the Ready. Actually, I'm going to bring you over to show you this. And I was watching Needles at the Ready, which is one of my favorite podcasts, and he was showing his Ready for Fall yarn, and it's fall, y'all. Look at this. This yarn, this color, the lighting in my room, it's not doing its justice. You're getting a little tour. Let's see if this does it a little bit better. Do you see the pink and the orange and the brown and the cream? These are all colors and a little bit of green. This looks so much like a leaf in Massachusetts. One thing I will say about Massachusetts that I absolutely love is our fall. Like the leaves look stunning, like absolutely gorgeous. And you see such beautiful variations where sometimes it's more of a golden color, in other trees it can be orange, and then sometimes it's pink. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So I am in love with this skein of yarn, and I wanted it the second I saw it on the camera. I was like, I'm buying it. The second one I bought was this one. I've been eyeing the rhubarb for a minute, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it since there was like a couple left. And so hopefully you can see it a little bit better with the color. I know it's a little hard to see, but in this you have obviously some pink, there's a little bit of green, brown, a darker pink, a blush pink. It's just, he really did just a wonderful job with this. And I most likely will make an Oslo hat with this and hold it together with some mohair. I really love this. I'm really glad that I have that in my collection. Here is the yarn I got from Stephen and Penelope. I love the yarn. I like it so much that in one day when I make a summer garment, I see myself using this yarn. Because it's enough yardage where I can make a ranunculus. When in doubt, make a ranunculus. And then B, I have 2 Razorback knitting patterns that I can potentially knit this with. Let me just pick up these items I've dropped on the floor. One final thing I just wanted to share with you is the generosity of my lovely student. So the student I'm actually making the socks for, she is from Canada, and while she was visiting her homeland, I guess she thought of me, which was really sweet. So she was at a farm and she came across this woman who was selling yarn. So she got me 3 balls of yarn, And as you can see, the colors work really well. So it's 100% pure wool. It was made in Canada, and the colors are absolutely gorgeous. And this is her favorite color. So my hope is that I can finish her socks, make her a hat with this, and potentially make her a tube, a panel scarf. I don't know. I'll make her something with that. But yeah, I was hoping to make her something with it. So we'll see. It's really nice, and it's actually super soft, and it's like feels like it's woven, but I don't know. I like it. So I'm very appreciative of the generosity of my students and my bank account for allowing me to make these new acquisitions. So now I just need to find the energy. Like my hands are a little hurty from knitting so much this evening because I was rushing through to get through the cuffs, and I think I just tensed in my hands too much, where if I was more relaxed I wouldn't be feeling the pain in my shoulders and my hands. I hear my family coming back into the house, so I don't want to get disrupted. Quick little updates. I did a little bit on sweater 19. I'm going to eventually plow through it. My son got a Spider-Man sweatshirt that's in red. So now all of a sudden he's not really interested in me knitting him a red pullover now that he has a red sweatshirt that's Spider-Man and it looks exactly like what he wants. So I'm super excited for him. And what else? I have done absolutely nothing with the Oslo hat that I cast on. I had castanitis really bad a couple of days ago where I was casting on everything. That's how I ended up casting on the home console, the muscle builder hat. And as you can see, my accent's coming out. This is what I mean by me being tired. There was one other item that I cast on. It was like, why am I casting on all these things? I have not done anything with my crochet square blanket. I'm hoping this Sunday to sit with it. My son has swim practice, so I'm hoping when I get back from swim practice with him after doing some things around the house and I have to do some things for work, that I can sit and watch the YouTube video that teaches you how to do the join as you go. I found a couple of that I like, and I'm just gonna go for it. I have those fingering weight yarn over there. I have tons of fingering weight over there that I'm not doing anything with. And so I'm like, why not put it into a blanket? Why not just, why not? There's absolutely no reason not. So I'm going to first use what I have in the bag because I don't have any project plans for those items first. Get that knocked out. And then if I still need squares, I'll do that. So I'm going to use what's in the bag first and practice putting those together, and we'll see how it comes out. So thank you for joining me on my knitting night. Fridays are the nights that I come home, I sit and watch all my favorite knitting podcasts. I work on an item in hopes to finish it, or I cast on something new. So I'm either finishing something on Friday or I cast on something new. And I just have a lovely time with myself, interacting with my yarn. I do some yarn tasting. Sometimes I make some swatches. So it is one of my favorite nights. And so I just wanted to share with you about some new yarns that were gifted to me, new yarns that I purchased. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? And new socks that I put on my needles that look so great with my nails. I am in love with my nails color, so that's probably another reason why I'm here tonight. But anywho, thanks for tuning in. And as always, enjoy your knitting, enjoy your crochet, and happy yarning.